Welcome to Key Conversations, a Making It in the Music Business podcast. My goal for this podcast is to help you learn from these conversations with both experts and working musicians and serve as a guide to assist your career in the process. I'm your host, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. Let's get going. So today I am really excited to be talking to Kai Rivariere. I think I said that right. She is the founder of the KR Agency, a digital advertising firm specializing in Facebook advertising. So this woman knows her Facebook stuff. That's all I have to say. I was lucky enough to be able to hop on a call with her and sort of go through Facebook ads as a musician and look at things that are working and things that are not working that I was doing. And it's such a deep well of stuff. And I figured it would be great to get her on and talk to you guys, musicians, about how to really utilize this massive platform to expand your fan base, to reach out to the people that are already on your fan base. So we're just going to dig in. We're going to maybe get a little techie, talk about some strategy. It's going to be great. So thanks for being here, Kai.
Thanks so much for having me, Cheryl. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Oh, and for those of you watching the video, we were having some technical difficulties, so you'll see her gorgeous photo, but that's totally fine, and we're all awesome, and we're going to get over the fact that we don't have her video. Right? Great. So, well, first off, just a little bit about you. Like, where are you located? How did you get into Facebook ads, and specifically? Let's just start with that.
Sure. So I'm currently located in Atlanta, Georgia, hot Atlanta. We actually, our team is actually all over the place. As a matter of fact, everybody always asks me, where is your agency headquartered? And I say Atlanta because I'm here. But we have our team members are all over the world. We've got team members in Japan and Montreal, London. We've got people in California, in Florida, New York. So we're spread out all over the place, serving clients all over. So in terms of how I got started, I'd actually really gotten into marketing and advertising quite some time ago, but decided that I wanted to specialize in Facebook ads when I saw how incredible the ROI is. We were initially, the agency had started off actually in the print advertising space, and which is a great space to be in, particularly if you're very creative and you love coming up with really cool, innovative ways to get a particular brand out there. But we were seeing ROI on Facebook and social media generally that we simply just couldn't track or quantify at the same level when it came to billboards or print campaigns, that sort of thing.
Right.
And I got hooked. And I decided that I wanted to spend a lot more time, as social media outlets and platforms started becoming more advanced, and became way easier to target the right people. I decided this is definitely like a growing, incredible space right now. It's exploding right now, and it's exploding for great reason. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be on the forefront of that. So we started investing hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars and tons of time into testing out landing page strategies and testing out various Facebook ad strategies for a host of different industries and niches, and really just trying to get down to the nitty gritty of what makes Facebook advertising work so much better than other platforms and other means. And we just kind of took off from there. We started to crack the code, so to speak, for a number of industries and niches, and things just sort of took off from there.
Amazing. Well, thank you for doing all the research for us and letting me pick your brain for yourself.
Sure.
So I want to start, you've already mentioned this word landing pages, which is, when we're talking, I know you work with big businesses and corporations and everything, but I think most of the people that are listening to this podcast are musicians, either composers, producers, artists, band members. And I think by this point, especially if they've been listening to this podcast, they know that they need a good website that represents who they are and what they want, so that people that land there know what they need to do.
So critical.
Yeah. So what sort of things do you see that really work in terms of a landing page? And just so you know, when we're talking about like giving, like we sell our music, the things that musicians are selling are generally like digital products as music. Oftentimes we're giving away like our lead magnet is a bundle of free songs or an MP3 or something to entice someone to sign up for our mailing list, which is really where we can promote our shows and other merchandise and other things like that. So that's sort of what, you know, what we're selling. But what does an ideal landing page, what sort of characteristics do they have? And I wonder how we could apply them specifically to a musician's landing page.
Sure, sure. So one thing that's important to remember, and this is across all industries, but particularly when it comes to the music industry, uh, a clear call to action is really, really critical. So, for instance, if you're looking to, grow an email list, and you want to build a page specifically towards that, right? So you want to have some sort of lead magnet, maybe it's a collection of songs or something like that. You want to make sure that, and I know it sounds obvious, right? But you want to make sure that you are clearly inviting your visitors and your traffic to say, okay, this is what I'd love for you to do. I'd love for you to check out these songs by providing me with your email address, and we'd love to then be able to give you a heads up on concerts and what's going on with the band, or just all that great stuff. It's really important to have that clear call to action that says, like, there's a button, and it can be very, very simple, but just make sure that you're providing that person who's visiting that page with a space where they can see that there's one thing, not just like, okay, well, here's 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 a tape, or here's a track, or listen to this track, listen to this other thing over here. Oh, hey, you should totally buy a t-shirt, or hey, you should totally check out this new thing. Just one particular call to action is really, really critical. You want to make sure that you are helping them focus on the one thing that you want them to do. So that's really interesting. Like, it's really, really integral to the entire system. The other thing that's really important is making sure that you have a really strong, catchy, and eye-grabbing headline. That can be a really great space, especially in like the creative industry, because you guys are usually really great at that sort of stuff anyway, coming up with really interesting track titles, or really interesting lyrics and that sort of thing. And it's if you can channel kind of that line of thinking and the mechanisms that you put in place for your strategy when you're creating that kind of great stuff, you can totally be able to create some really great headlines and really great copy. It's really helpful to, when you are creating headlines on your landing pages, that you are making it clear, like, what it is that what you're offering, what types of songs, what types of, like, what your genre is, what your mood is, what kind of experience somebody can get from actually, listening to your music. That's really helpful as well.
That's awesome. And it sounds like all these things, like having just one thing on the homepage and an awesome headline, it's really to focus. Like, that seemed to be the word. And I know it's very tempting. And my website used to look like this. I'd had these very well organized sections, like new videos here, tour dates here, records here. Like, there was just so much. And I wanted to pack it all on one page just in case someone didn't go explore.
Right.
But I think that the opposite idea of having them focus and then having them intrigued enough to be like, all right, I'm going to click on this tour dates tab, and then this tab is okay. Like, to have that extra focus.
Absolutely. And and it's not to say that you don't have to have all the other stuff on your website, but you want to be able to steer your traffic and your visitors to the things that are most pertinent and most interesting to them. And so you could have, maybe after they've opted in to the email list to grab, your collection of songs, at that thank you page, there's, hey, thanks so much. We've got this, we've got our great songs in your inbox, and hey, if you're interested, here's here's a list of our concert dates for the next month, quarter, what have you, right? And then kind of take it from there, so that you're always providing them with the information that you want them to have and the information that they'd be interested in having, but not all at once. So that they're not getting terribly distracted by, all of the amazing things that you guys have to offer. That's really critical.
Yeah. And I love that, taking advantage of the thank you page, not just being like, thanks, check your inbox, but thanks, check your inbox. Also, maybe it's follow me on Spotify, or if you're on tour, here are my new tour dates, or if you have merch to sell, like you can get them focused again on and do another thing. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Okay, so now we've got the perfect landing page. So this is, I wanted to talk about that first because I know that a lot of Facebook ads for musicians, we focus on getting people to our landing page, right? Instead of sending them to SoundCloud or something, we want people to see our brand. So it makes more sense to spend money to get people to our website where we want them to do something specific. It's in our voice, it's with our brand colors. So I wanted to make sure that we talk about where we're sending people generally. And I know there's a lot of different strategies here. So now let's dig into what's the best way to utilize Facebook ads. What do we need on a very basic level? I know that's a very large question, but besides the fact that I think let's talk about the assumptions we have to make. Like, you have a Facebook page. You can't run ads from a personal page. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's much, much better to have an actual company page set up. And then from there, you'll want to set up an ad account. So you can have ad accounts are essentially associated with a company page. And in your ad account, that's where you get to go to Ads Manager, which you can get to if you go to facebook.com/ads/manage. And from there, you'll be able to create all of your ads. It's like a centralized place where you can create, manage, optimize, analyze, get reporting on, all of that great stuff. And so that's the best way of going about it. Some people, I think I've seen a lot of musicians, small businesses generally, they'll post on the company page and then they'll click that boost post button that is associated with every post in order to boost their ads and kind of create ads that way from their posts. I personally don't think that is the best strategy to employ. One, you don't get to see a lot of your data unless you're really in Ads Manager and you're really building those ads out from there. Two, the targeting that is provided when you're boosting a post from the company page versus when you're building an ad in Ads Manager is far, far less robust. It just doesn't have all of the features, all the amazing features that you will find if you are building an ad out in Ads Manager. And so that's really critical. So that's like first step is definitely making sure that you're creating your ads in Ads Manager versus boosting posts. Now, there are strategies to employ where boosting a post might be advantageous at sort of the top of funnel when you're sending ads out to a cold audience. That's what we call top of funnel. However, by and large, I would say 95% of the time, it's really just best to create the ad in Ads Manager.
Got it. Okay. That was going to be one of my questions. Like, is there an advantage to boosting a post versus creating an ad in the Ads Manager? So that's great. By the way, that link that she said to access your Ads Manager is facebook.com/ads/manage. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And that is when you have your artist page, your Facebook page set up, and that's how you're managing that. So that's great. That answered that question for me.
Cool.
Another question that I had is, and you sort of touched briefly on being able to target who sees this ad. And you said top of funnel, meaning a cold audience, which is I use the term cold audience when I'm talking about finding new people, meaning they don't know who you are. So there might be a couple different, reasons why you'd be wanting to target new people. If you're growing your fan list, if you're trying to access, sell tickets to a specific tour to people that don't already know about it. There's a lot of reasons why you want to bring cold people in. So how would a musician who's, let's just say if we're using a pop artist that's a female, sort of sounds like Sarah Bareilles, for example, how would someone go about targeting, or should they be very specific and narrow in their targeting, or should they just say, sounds like, or finding people that also like this artist, Sarah Bareilles, or also what's the targeting strategy that you could give us?
Sure. So I would say, generally speaking, before you even set foot in Ads Manager and play around in ads or build anything like that out, you really want to think about your audience psychology. You want to think about and you kind of alluded to it already in a sense. You do want to think about okay, who's already out there, some popular artists that are out there already that share similar kind of vibe that where somebody be like, oh yeah, you sound kind of like this person, right?
Sure.
It's great to think about that, because then when you're thinking about that, then you can think about what sorts of audiences resonate the most with those sorts of artists, because those are the audiences. It's one of those, like, if you like this person, you're gonna love me, right?
Right.
So you want to make sure that you're thinking about where those people hang out. What sorts of concerts do they go to? What festivals do they get really excited about? What sorts of magazines do they read, or where do they go online for their news or for entertainment? Thinking about the we call the buyer psychology, so to speak, is really going to be it's going to play a huge role, because you can actually go into Facebook and start to build out, that sort of digital profile, so to speak, that'll help you get in front of the right people. And the better you are at that whole analysis and really pinpointing and in a really focused way, where those people hang out, what they do, what they love, where, what other sorts of musical tastes they might have, and how they spend their time. The more you can do that, the cheaper your ads are going to be for you. Like, in terms of, from a results perspective, your cost per result is going to be far, far less, because you've really been able to hit that entire perfect audience in a really targeted way. So that's going to be critical. Just getting into the head of your fan is key, and not just for targeting, but also for copy and for creative and all that good stuff as well. So
Yeah.
in Facebook, and this is why, this is one of the many reasons why I suggest using Ads Manager too, is because there is a feature called Audience Insights that will allow you to kind of actually play around with this in a much more tangible way. So, say for instance, I don't know, if you had a sound that was very similar to, Usher, you could actually go into Audience Insights and you could look up that. We call them competitors. Now, of course, they're not technically competitors, right? But they're just people, they're just people who are kind of similar to, they provide something that's similar to what you provide. And so you can actually go into Audience Insights and you can look up various pages, and it'll give you a profile. Like, it'll tell you, okay, well, people who like Usher also like this. They also spend time here. They're also involved or interested in these sorts of products, or these sorts of magazines, or these sorts of publications. And then you can start really playing around and getting really creative about the way in which you're targeting. And that can be really, really helpful as well.
That's really, really, really cool. For my MX4 course and the email course that I've created, we talk a lot about getting clear on your avatar. That one person, like, what's their story? Not just like, oh, my target audience is 18 to 65-year-olds, women and men. Like, that's not going to help anyone. But getting a very specific story doesn't mean we're eliminating other people. It just means that we are targeting this one person and making decisions based on what we believe that they would be really psyched about. So that's really great that it makes sense. Even here in Facebook ads, in the ad manager, and the Audience Insight is a really, really great way to, even if you're not going to make an ad, just to find out that data. What are they into? Where do they hang out online? And awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to give you one more strategy that's going to be really effective as well. So when it comes to targeting, and this is if you've already got a website established, if you've got traffic that you're sending to that website, perhaps you've got an Instagram profile, you've got Twitter, and you're sending traffic to your site, you can actually use, and this is actually really critical, I would strongly recommend, if you haven't done it already, to install a Facebook pixel onto your website. What a Facebook pixel does is it will capture data and information on from the people who are actually checking you out. So let's say somebody's going to your a page that you've got tons of tracks on, for instance, or somebody's gone to a page to check out, when you're going to be in concert next in their area. You can actually track that stuff. And what's really great with Facebook is you can create lookalike audiences based off of the people who have already checked you out. So what you do is you go, and this is also an Ads Manager feature. So when you're building out ads in Ads Manager, you can go into custom audiences and create a lookalike audience. And you can tell Facebook, okay, Facebook, I want you to find me, 2.3 million people who share similar traits, interests, similar profiles to the people who have already demonstrated that they're interested in our stuff. And what Facebook will then do is it'll build that audience out. Essentially, around 2.3 million is more like a 1% lookalike audience, which is when I say 1%, it's essentially the closest you can possibly get to the people who are already demonstrated interest. And you can do this all the way up to, I believe, 10%. 10% is pretty large. I mean, you're looking at that point, you're looking at like 50 million or so people. Usually, for smaller artists, local artists, I recommend sticking to that 1% lookalike. And then kind of as you start to blow up, so to speak, you can feel free to change that a little bit. But 1% ought to do the trick. And typically, it's really great for creating ads that go to people who are already really interested in listening to what you've got. And we've seen really great CTR, really great click-through rates, what CTR is. And we've seen really great relevance scores from that as well. So I strongly recommend using lookalike audiences to your benefit.
Cool. So that's awesome. And by the way, like, it sounds really complicated putting a fixed Facebook pixel on your website. Facebook has a really, really easy, you click on Facebook pixel and it shows you a little video on how to grab the code and put an HTML little code on your website. It's very, very, very simple. And it's really interesting information. Once I did it, I was like, oh, whoa, I could create ads based on that. It's all makes a lot of sense once you sort of start to dig in the ads manager and you start to see this. So the last, this is also a deep question, and I'm asking for like the simple version from you because I don't know how to explain it simply, but there's like campaigns and ad sets and then the actual ad, you sort of see these tabs once you get into the ad manager. What's the big picture explanation of the difference between those four things?
Sure. So your campaign is essentially your objective. That's where you determine what the objective of that particular ad is going to be, or your series of ads are going to be. And you can have a number of different objectives. You said there is, the traffic objective, where you're just really interested in sending as much traffic to a particular page as possible. There's conversion objective, which is really great and helpful. Like if you have perhaps a merchandise store on your page and you're creating ads to generate revenue from your merchandise, that's really helpful for that sort of thing. There are engagement campaigns where Facebook is essentially optimizing all of the ads within that campaign to people who are most likely to actually engage with you, so most likely to like your page, or perhaps most likely to comment or to go on Instagram and check you out there and follow you there, that sort of great stuff. And so there are objectives for different campaigns, and that's kind of where you can determine that. Now, then after that, there's the ad set level. Ad set level is essentially where you are determining your audiences. So this is where the targeting kind of comes into play here. And when you have, so the campaign is like the larger umbrella. Underneath that umbrella is your ad set. And you can have multiple ad sets within a campaign. So let's say, for instance, you wanted to run an engagement campaign, but you weren't quite sure which audience would be the perfect audience. So you wanted to, do some split testing, do some experimentation, which I highly, highly recommend. You could create multiple ad sets so that you can send that to multiple audiences. Maybe one audience is a lookalike audience. Maybe another audience is an audience who are fans of a super popular, artist that shares similar sound as you, or similar vibe as you, what have you. And so that's where you can determine that at that ad set level. And then underneath the ad set level is the ads level. And this is where your actual ads are created, housed, built. So this is where you're putting in your copy, your text for your ad. This is where you might upload a really cool video, whether it's a music video or a concert video, or just you hanging out with the band, right? This is where you start to really craft that and let people know where to kind of go after after they clicked on the ad, all that great stuff. So that's
Awesome.
hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I thought there were 4. There's only 3. That makes it even even better.
Yeah.
And the campaign determines the objectives, the ad set determines the audience, and the ads themselves determine that's where you do the creative. So that's really, really helpful. And when talking with you, something that was also really helpful was knowing that $30 a day under the ad set per ad set was sort of the happy lower budget number. Was that
Yeah.
correct? Okay,
Yes,
cool.
that's correct. And so so let's say, for instance, you had one campaign, you had 3 ad sets, and for every ad set you had 2 ads. For instance, if you have a $30 ad set and you've got 2 ads under that set, Facebook will try to distribute that fairly equally. It doesn't always work out that way, just because Facebook has its own preference. The algorithm, so to speak, has its own preference as to what sorts of ads it likes to share with people. So it might pick one. I guess what I'm saying is, if you have 2 ads, don't assume that one ad is going to get $15 and the other ad's going to get $15. Facebook may very well say, well, you know what, we kind of like, just based off of what we've seen people respond to, we kind of like ad A a little bit better. We might put, $25 towards ad A, and maybe put $5 towards ad B. You can, if advanced marketers can kind of manipulate that a little bit. But honestly, I mean, Facebook's algorithm it knows itself much better than any advertiser does. So we always find that it usually it chooses well. I wouldn't worry about that too much if you do see that.
Sure. Awesome. This has been really helpful. The last sort of closing question, I think, might be the question that is always the one that stops us from even moving forward is, what do I even advertise? And I guess this really is, what's the objective? Does it make more sense to put money to get likes on the Facebook page? Or does it really make more sense to get people, that cold traffic, into your homepage, the landing page for whatever it is that you want people to do, whether it's to sign up for your email list in exchange for a song, get put into your email funnel? Or is it, what's an ideal objective for someone that's a musician with a low budget, really wanting to utilize Facebook ads?
So one thing that I will say is that likes are great. They don't pay the bill.
Yeah.
You can, yeah, you can definitely, and in the world that we live in, that's so driven by social media, the number of follows and likes and this, that, and the other. I find a lot of musicians want to focus on that. But at the end of the day, it's really going to be about your true following, the people who are actually listening to your music and loving your music and telling other people about your music. That's how you really get out there. And running ads for likes is probably not going to be the best. Well, it's definitely not going to be the best strategy for you. I would definitely recommend running ads to put yourself out there. Whether, let's say, if you've got a tour going on, or if you're going to be you've got a concert in the next to be over or something like that. That's what you want to run ads to. If you've got a bundle of tracks that you'd love to get out there, that's what you want to run ads to. Or even if you just want to build your email list. Now, that's the following that I can personally get behind, because at the end of the day, when you grow your email list, you're able to control the conversation, so to speak, in a much more real way than you ever could if you were posting on a company page and hoping that people, somehow that post magically makes its way into someone's newsfeed. We find, especially these days, that the percentage of organic views from company pages, business pages alike, are declining at a rapid pace. And more, you're gonna see that even if you are trying to run like an ad campaign for likes, it's just not gonna get you where you want to go at the end of the day. So I would strongly recommend email opt-ins, providing people with your content, sending people to really cool music videos or just videos of you and the band and your musicians and people just enjoying themselves, having fun, getting to know you. It's all about building a relationship. That's how you're going to become successful with respect to Facebook ads and, frankly, marketing and advertising these days generally.
I love that all so much. This is so incredibly valuable. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Kai, how can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you or find out more about the KR agency, learn more about Facebook ads in general? Where can we find you on the interwebs?
Sure. So you can feel free to visit www.krdesignAgency.com. And we've got all sorts of really great bits and pieces of information for you to get in on there. There's also a number of links there if you'd like to schedule a consultation. We do done-for-you services where we kind of build out the whole shebang for you, but we also work with smaller companies and individuals in just consulting services. We sit with you one-on-one. We talk about what your needs are or where you're hoping to go, and we can start to work with you in building out strategies, showing you how Facebook ads work, showing you the ads platform, and really getting you started so that you feel comfortable and confident to build out ads on your own.
Amazing. All right. So that's krdesignAgency.com. And this is so awesome. We may have to do a follow-up one. If you're listening, leave comments in iTunes and YouTube and let me know if we should probably do a follow-up. This is so packed valuable. And I could probably keep going with questions for the next 2 hours, but thank you so much for being here and for giving us so many gold nuggets.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Please don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and YouTube if you like this podcast. Musicians like you keep me inspired and motivated, and for doing that, I'm offering you a free 6-page guide to pitching. This guide will unlock the keys to priming your pitch, where you can get started getting a yes when you pitch anything to anyone. Grab it at inthekey.co/prime. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on Key Conversations. The theme song on this podcast was provided by yours truly. If you're interested to find out more about my composing and songwriting projects, go to inthekey.co/Cheryl. If you're a musician looking to get some real results for your music career, then head to inthekey.co/results, where I've created a bunch of different kinds of resources just for you. Key Conversations is sponsored in part by Bandzoogle. They make it easy to build a beautiful website for your music. Their step-by-step system gets you online in minutes, and you can choose from hundreds of mobile-friendly themes and customize them with their point-and-click editor. All of the features you can imagine for a possible website are built in. So, because you're a Key Conversations podcast listener, you get a special month free trial plus 15% off if you do decide to sign up, just for you. Go to inthekey.co/make-a-site to get the offer.
Pretty sure that you're the missing part.